Picture this, a bike that's handsome,
but in a rugged, dad bod kind of way.
with more character than a vinyl record.
If you can remember what those are.
It's got an irresistible combination of style with enough power to make heads turn and hearts race.
That, according to Ross, is the new Super Meteor from Royal Enfield.
It's a bike that blends vintage charm with a rebellious spirit that left me grinning from ear to ear.
Before we get going, remember, if you like this video, then give us a thumbs up, leave a comment and hit that subscribe button. We're doing an end of financial year sale, so when you're finished watching this, head over to bikertalk.com.au and use the code BIKER10 to get 10% off store-wide.
We're really excited to announce that we're now an official supplier of the B-Line Moto here in Australia. So if you have a Royal Enfield without a tripper or any bike really, and are after a simple to use, discreet looking navigation pod, then we have you covered. It was only a matter of time before we'd see Royal Enfield's 650cc engine in a new bike. And on first impression, the bike does not disappoint.
It's the same air and oil-cooled single overhead cam, 648cc parallel twin cylinder engine that provides ample power and torque.
So no changes from the one seen in the Interceptor and the Continental GT. It still has a 270-degree crank and puts out 47 brake horsepower at 7,250 RPM with peak torque of about 52 Newton meters at 5,650 RPM. And that's where the similarities between those two bikes end, because the rest of this bike is a completely new beast.
It has an entirely new frame and swing arm, still designed in the UK at the Royal Enfield Technology Centre in conjunction with Harris Performance.
Which means that the engine is now a stressed member of the frame, and it's very stable when you're travelling at a decent clip. Quite possibly the best chassis on a Royal Enfield to date.
It has a 6-speed constant mesh gearbox, but with really comfortable forward controls. That is, once you get used to them.
The next big change is the suspension, which of course aids stability. This is the first ever Royal Enfield with Showa suspension, so it's great to see some premium parts as stock on these bikes. Up front, there are 43mm upside down forks with 120mm of travel. It has a 19-inch alloy rim on the front with a tubeless tyre and a single 230mm disc with a twin piston bi-bray floating caliper. On the rear, there's some very good twin shocks that have 5-step adjustable preload and 101mm of travel. In true cruiser style, it has a smaller rear wheel, in this case, a 16-inch alloy rim. Typically for a cruiser, the rear brake is excellent. It's a 300mm disc, so bigger than the rear disc on the Interceptor, with a twin piston bi-bray floating caliper. In terms of tech, well, like all Royal Enfields, it's pretty basic, which is all part of the charm and the appeal of these bikes. It of course has ABS, as well as an LED headlight and taillight. The clock is a retro-inspired part digital, part analog instrument panel with a little LCD screen that gives you information such as a fuel gauge, gear indicator, trip meter and a clock. It also has the tripper navigation pod built in, so no need for a B-line with this one, and it has a USB charging port as well as adjustable levers.
It is now available in Australia at an introductory price starting at $10,640 for the Super Meteor 650 in Astral Blue and Black, $10,840 for the Interstellar Green, and Super Meteor 650 Tourer will set you back $11,190 and comes in Celestial Red and Blue.
Now I spent a lot more time on this bike than you did, so I'm going to kick things off, and it's quite a list. And at the top is style. Royal Enfield are renowned for their classic designs, and the Super Meteor is no exception. With a teardrop shaped fuel tank and an iconic loop rear frame, which gives it a real sense of heritage that is a direct link to previous models. The curve on the headers looks great and follows the form of the engine. It looks good and is a big improvement on the headers that are on the Interceptor. The chrome accents and the blacked out engine parts look great. Now, one of my big gripes about the Continental GT is the quality of the alloy on the engine cases. They look the goods, but you have to keep the polish up to them because they quickly oxidise. No such issue with the blacked out engine cases on the Super Meteor. I also like the Royal Enfield logos and graphics on the engine cases, the seat and the side covers. The finish is excellent. It's easily one of the best finishes on any bike in the Royal Enfield range. Much better than the Interceptor and the Continental GT. It is something that Royal Enfield has really improved in the last 5 years or so. So what they've achieved for the cost of this bike is outstanding. After a bit of a tweak after the first ride, I found the suspension to be excellent. It is a noticeable difference when riding this back to back with one of the other 650 twins. And if you're going to be putting more premium components on a bike, then you may as well let people know about it. So the Showa logos on the top of the forks are a nice touch. Okay, Tegan, what did you like about the bike?
Well, I think you seem to have covered a fair bit of it there. But for me, it was mostly the rider ergonomics and that really comfortable seat.
Yep.
I didn't get to do a whole heap of kilometres on it, unfortunately. I mostly did a few commutes to and from work, but I was quite surprised at how well it handled and how comfortable it was. Once I got used to it, I really did like that riding position with my feet forward. It felt really cool. I really liked the low seat with that low centre of gravity, and it just made turning really smooth and easy.
Yeah, nice. It feels like the Super Meteor was designed with rider comfort in mind. That seat is wonderful, and it's something that Royal Enfield do really, really well.
It's got that great engine that ticks all of the boxes. There is enough power and torque to have a heap of fun, but also keep it accessible. And Ross has said before, anyone that says it's underpowered is seriously having a laugh.
That's true.
There is more than enough power to exceed the legal speed limits. What more power do you need?
The brakes, and in particular the rear brake, are really good. I wasn't expecting the rear to be as good as it was, but it is a bigger disc than the one on the Interceptor, so I suppose that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. But the main thing that we both liked about the Super Meteor is the price. I think we were both expecting it to be a fair bit higher than the Interceptor and the Continental GT, considering the additional components like the adjustable levers, the tripper, LED lights, the comfortable seat, and the better suspension.
Yeah, with this stuff as standard, you'd have to say that the price is outstanding. I thought it'd be at least $2 grand more than the Interceptor and Continental GT, but it's not, so I'm confident they'll sell really, really well.
There is really only a couple of things that we both didn't like. First of all, the screen. I'm not sure why, but the screen directed the airflow directly at my helmet.
Yeah, I found the wind noise on the screen really, really loud. When I was on the highway coming back from Bathurst, we did hit a fair bit of rain, and the screen did keep most of the wind and the rain off my chest, but the noise, cruising at 110, was loud. Not deafening, but a lot louder than I thought it was going to be.
Simple solution to that, either buy the version without the screen or just take it off.
Take it off. Actually, I did that with the Meteor 350 that I own. The screen's gone from that one. Speaking of the Meteor 350, one of the things that I've really gotten used to on that bike is the heel toe shifter. And I was really surprised that it wasn't included on the Super Meteor. More than anything else, to reinforce the cruiser ergonomics of the bike.
And the final thing is that side stand. That is very tricky to find. Clearly, we weren't the only ones who kept missing it, as evidenced by the boot marks on the exhaust that were there when it was delivered.
Although I'm pretty sure I added quite a few more.
The Royal Enfield Super Meteor is the rock star in the Royal Enfield lineup. But what kind of rock star is it?
Well, let's look at other cruiser motorcycle brands. Let's look at Indian, for example. I'd say they're more Taylor Swift than Dolly Parton.
That's pretty fair. And Harley Davidson are a bit like Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones in that no one can believe that they're still around.
I can't believe they're still around. So that leaves us with Royal Enfield, and I'd say they're a bit like the Beatles in that they keep producing hit after hit, but with a big dose of Bollywood thrown in for good measure. It has a tension-grabbing presence, whether it's parked up on the street or cruising down the highway. So for me, it's about a 9.
Wow, and I'd probably give it about an 8 because it's not the type of bike that I'd usually go for, but I very much enjoyed riding it. It felt great to ride. I was surprised at the comfort and the handling, and I just felt cool riding it.
Yeah, nice. Just like all Royal Enfields, owning a Super Meteor means you'll become part of a tribe who appreciate the simple things in life, such as open roads and the sound of a well-tuned engine. The Royal Enfield community is filled with passionate riders who are always ready to share stories, offer tips and celebrate these classic bikes.
So you clearly liked the bike. Would you buy one, or would you think about replacing your Continental GT or the Meteor 350?
Tegan, that's a very good question. It's a very different bike to the Continental GT, so I wouldn't be getting rid of that one. But it's interesting with the Meteor 350. I love that bike, and it's my go-to bike to commute on because it's easy to ride and it's cheap to run. Initially, I bought it as a learner bike for my eldest son. It was perfect for him when he started. But if I were in the market right now, which I'm not by the way, I'd certainly consider a Super Meteor. Both the Meteor 350 and the Super Meteor are learner approved, but there are obvious limitations with the Meteor 350 that the Super Meteor addresses perfectly. And I think the Super Meteor is easily the best looking mid-capacity cruiser on the market. It's so much better than the Kawasaki Vulcan S and the Honda CMX 500. I actually think it might eat into some of Royal Enfield's own market, and I can actually see many Interceptor owners making the switch.
Ooh, that would be very interesting. So let us know what you think. Is it a bike that you'd buy? And if you do own an Interceptor or a Meteor 350, would you make the change?
So while I had it, I did a weekend trip out to Bathurst for the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. It was an early morning meetup on the Saturday with some mates to head out via the Bells line of road into Lithgow, then through Tarrana and O'Connell and onto Bathurst. It's these type of roads that most bikes shine, and the Super Meteor is no exception. I had a heap of fun on it, on the sweeping bends on the Bells line of road and the country roads in general. Cornering is a dream, with the bike obediently hugging the road like a loyal companion. Riding it is a dance of harmony and control. When we first arrived, it was a catch up with a few mates of the channel at the Reckless Brewery on the Saturday night. Then the next morning, it was off for the 2023 Bathurst Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. I must give a big shout out to Sam from Bathurst Barbers for hosting the ride. So I've been a bit of a fan of Royal Enfield since they first released the Interceptor and the Continental GT back in, I think it was 2018. The engine in those bikes is just fantastic, and when they came onto the market, it was just at the right time.
The design and technical folk at Royal Enfield have taken the lessons they've learned from those bikes and released new offerings such as the Classic 350, the Meteor 350 and Hunter, which in terms of finish and quality easily surpasses the original 650 twins. But in the brand new Royal Enfield Super Meteor, I think we can safely say that we are looking at the best Royal Enfield to date. Let's just say that Royal Enfield's dominance in the mid-capacity market is only getting started.
There have been rumours floating around about another bike with the 650 engine, possibly a classic 650, so I'd be really keen to see one of those if they eventuate.
Riding the Super Meteor, it feels like you've been transported back to an era where handlebar moustaches and dapper attire ruled the roads. With its classic cruiser design, be prepared for jealous gazes from passers-by as you ride by in all of your retro glory.
We also upload daily, nearly always, or when I remember,
Sure.
to Instagram and Facebook. If you'd like to keep up to date with what's happening on the channel, then follow us on those platforms.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, then please leave us a like and subscribe to the channel. That's it for today. We will be back next Thursday with another video. Till next time, stay safe and enjoy your next pie run.